The Abominable Snowmen was the beginning of one of the most iconic monsters in Doctor Who's history. From the most extensive location filming to that point, to controversial cuts from the broadcast episode, The Abominable Snowmen is remembered as a missing classic. This is the story of The Abominable Snowmen. In Tibet, 1935, a Buddhist monastery is attacked by a creature that could not possibly exist. When the TARDIS arrives, the Doctor encounters a new adversary, the Great Intelligence, which begins a dreaded conflict that will continue throughout the Doctor's life. This is the beginning of a 6-part serial where the Doctor encounters the Yeti for the first time, but how did this story come to be? Mervyn Haseman had initially started as an actor who ran his own theatre group until he moved into doing insurance for around 10 years. He eventually made his way back to the creative field as a scriptwriter. Not too long into his scriptwriting career, he teamed up with another writer, Henry Lincoln. Henry Lincoln, like Haseman, was initially an actor who sort of fell into writing. He was given a part in a thriller set in Egypt, and the producer asked him to look the script over. He noticed a lot of errors in the Egyptology and was eventually commissioned to rewrite the whole thing. Patrick Troughton had known Henry Lincoln for quite some time, and as the story goes, one day they bumped into each other and Patrick said, "I'm a bit pissed off with mucking about in space, frankly. Why don't they do something a bit more earthly?" Lincoln and Haseman brainstormed a few ideas of commonly known cryptids and mythical creatures, such as the Loch Ness Monster, and eventually settled on the Himalayan Yeti. Producer Innes Lloyd liked the Himalayan location, and Peter Bryant, the newly appointed story editor, liked the Yeti concept. Therefore, they commissioned the pair to write the script under the title Doctor Who and the Abominable Snowman. Gerald Blake was designated as director. From the 23rd to the 25th of August 1967, pre-filming at Ealing Studios took place. Pre-filming was required to shoot the cave interiors, which needed a lot of practical special effects, and also to film the model sequences for the story. The first 2 days focused on the cave scenes. A shot of Padma Salbhavar's face being chemically melted was also shot, but was chosen not to be used. On the final day, model shots of the monastery and cave were shot. These were mainly for establishing shots, and to also show the explosion of the cave in the latter episodes. Between the 4th and the 9th of September, the team travelled to North Wales for a total of 6 days of location filming. This was the furthest and longest location filming the series had done up to this point, which was surprising to the original screenwriters who had assumed it would be recorded in studio. Initially, the 6th was supposed to be a rest day, but due to the amount of rain they got, a lot of time was lost. Therefore, filming was pushed back to the 9th instead of the 8th. Unfortunately, there was no snow on location, which made the Himalayan illusion difficult to pull off. Yet, it was still incredibly cold. Cast and crew wrapped themselves in extra clothing when they could, and even took a sneaky sip of vodka from director Gerald Blake's flask. A man is murdered, and Professor Travers, on the hunt for proof of the existence of Yeti, points the blame at the Doctor. But little does he know how close he is to discovering the truth about the Yeti as one approaches Victoria and Jamie. The first episode was recorded on Friday the 15th of September 1967 in Lime Grove Studio D. The TARDIS set had some changes since the last serial, The Tomb of the Cybermen, most notably with the new TARDIS scanner that appeared in a black circle above a control panel. The Doctor's trunk from Power of the Daleks makes another appearance, which held the Holy Ganter. One of the major problems with the lack of snow on location is seen in this episode, where the scanner shows the exterior of the ship to be surrounded in snow. Yet, when they step outside, no snow is to be seen. Due to the lack of snow, some moments in the script had to be slightly changed. The script reads that marks in the snow guided the Doctor to find the body of John, Trevor's companion. Yet there would be no snow to show this. It is assumed it was changed that the Doctor found the body in some grass, thanks to some surviving photos which show this. Location photos and telesnaps show that the TARDIS doors have been placed in the incorrect order. Usually, the pull to open sign resides on the left side, whereas it has been placed on the right. This error is first seen in The Evil of the Daleks and continues to be fitted incorrectly all the way up to the wheel in space. It returns to its original side in The Dominators. The Doctor discovers that the Yeti are merely robots and not the mythical creatures. But the answer of who is in control of the deadly Yeti lies deep within the monastery. The second episode was recorded on Saturday the 16th of September 1967 in Lime Grove Studio D. Unusually, episode 2 was recorded the day after episode 1, on the Saturday. Up until this point, Doctor Who was generally recorded on a Friday night, but began being recorded on Saturday nights after this story. The 2 episodes were recorded in the same week to make the turnover less painful. This would mean they would now record the episode 3 weeks before transmission, rather than recording only 1 week ahead of transmission. Many of the episodes of the previous season were recorded a week before transmission, which meant that if they made a mistake, there was no time to re-record. Speaking of errors, during the opening of the scene, a bit of dialogue was missing from the original audio track. The audio error can also be heard on fan-made audio recordings from broadcast, showing that the error was broadcast and not a fault of the recordings. Mark Ayres, who is in charge of remastering many audio releases, used parts of audio from other episodes to reconstruct the missing line.
You're right about one thing, Victoria.
With a lifeless Yeti captured in the monastery, the other Yeti are keen to retrieve it. When the pulsating sphere reaches the disused Yeti, it comes back to life and begins to attack Victoria. The third episode was recorded on Saturday the 23rd of September 1967 in Lime Grove Studio D. The moving sphere props were created by using old parts from Cybermats. Talk about spare parts. Patrick Troughton and Chris Song actor Norman Jones found the moving Yeti spheres to be quite humorous and found it difficult to complete a scene without laughing. It's clear their amusement made it to screen also, with this ad-libbed line by Troughton.
They came to get their ball back.
As the Doctor and Jamie attempt to return to the TARDIS to track the missing sphere, they discover a Yeti guarding the ship. Meanwhile, Victoria makes her way through the inner sanctum and meets the mastermind behind this plot, Padma Salbavar. The fourth episode was recorded on Saturday the 30th of September 1967 in Lime Grove Studio D. Episode 4 had 2 scenes cut from the episode. Was a scene between Tomney and Victoria in the cell, where she apologised for getting him in trouble. The second cut scene was a short pre-film sequence of the Yeti moving down the mountainside. To give the impression that Padma Salbavar was ancient, they added latex to enlarge his head and to add wrinkles. The role of Travers was played by Deborah Watling's father, Jack Watling. Jack Watling was a well-established actor appearing in many television shows in the 60s. So when Deborah read the script, she suggested him to Innes Lloyd, who thought it was a great idea, especially because he had him in mind anyway. Victoria has been put in a trance by Padma Salbavar and acts as an emissary for the Great Intelligence. It is revealed to the Doctor that Padma Salbavar was taken over by the Great Intelligence, but at this point, it might be too late to stop his plan. The fifth episode was recorded on Saturday the 7th of October 1967 in Lime Grove Studio D. To achieve the effect of the Buddha statue crushing Rin Chen, it was decided to move the camera towards the statue, then cut away to a long shot of the Buddha already crushing Rin Chen. This was done to avoid damaging the prop, and also to save a bit of time. Sadly, it didn't save time. The episode had a total of 10 recording breaks, which is quite a lot for the time, which made the team overrun by 10 whole minutes. As the physical manifestation of the Great Intelligence grows stronger, the Doctor must face down Padmasambhava, but time is running out. The final episode was recorded on Saturday the 14th of October, 1967, in Lime Grove Studio D. Each Yeti costume, 4 in total, were constructed with a bamboo framework with fur on top. Each costume cost around £100 to create. The costumes were a collaboration between the visual effects department and the costume department. Visual effects provided the inner casing, which held the spheres, and costume provided the framework and the fur. Due to the rain and lack of visibility, many of the Yeti fell down during location filming, which slowed down production even more and frustrated the people inside the costumes. The ending moments featured a real Yeti, which was the same costume as the other Yeti, minus the bamboo frame, so that the operator could run away in fear. Sadly, we do not have any surviving footage of this, so we're not entirely sure how this was portrayed. The story reached its peak audience figures at 7.4 million for episode 6, its lowest being 6 million for episode 2. A sequel for The Abominable Snowmen, later known as The Web of Fear, was commissioned 3 days before the first episode of The Abominable Snowmen was even broadcast. It was clear that the production team had faith in these creations by Haseman and Lincoln. Sadly, 5 out of 6 episodes do not exist in the BBC's archive due to routine junking. Thankfully, episode 2 was returned to the BBC in 1982. So, what is left of The Abominable Snowmen? On initial broadcast, Doctor Who fans Graham Strong, Richard Landon, and David Holman recorded the audio. Graham Strong's recordings are considered the highest quality. A variety of 16mm footage from location exists also, alongside a few bits of 8mm footage of behind-the-scenes location filming, recorded by director Gerald Blake and actor Fraser Hines. 2 shots from this story also survived from the Late Night Lineup, a BBC programme. Thankfully, all telesnaps exist for this story. You can hear this story via an audio release narrated by Fraser Hines, and it is also available on vinyl. The story was novelised by Terrance Dicks in 1974. A fan-made reconstruction by Loose Cannon was made in 2006. As of the making of this video, no official animation has been announced. If you'd like to know more about missing episodes, watch my documentary series on them here. So, what is your favourite way of experiencing this story? Recon, audio, novel? Or have you not experienced it yet? Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Josh Nares YouTube channel.